All right, you guys, this episode 10 of Inner Demons. I already know. Man, look, let me just say this, man. I can't emphasize enough how busy life gets sometimes outside of YouTube. I'm not trying to continue to make excuses, man, but I've been dealing with the project around the pad, man, and some other stuff, so it's kind of setting me back. These last 3 weeks have been kind of hectic, man, so just bear with me. Like I said, I'll get my mojo back, and once I get rolling, we'll just keep running this Inner Demons. Let me get straight into it though. So episode 9, at the tail end, I remember. Okay, so I had just got convicted out of San Mateo and San Francisco counties. I'm pretty sure they ran them concurrent. So between both of these counties, they gave me 7 years. 18 years old, barely turning 19, getting ready to go to prison for my first time. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is because that's important, and that I brought up with Jerry on the podcast that we've been doing, is this. And I know I already covered this in episode 9, but I want to continue to emphasize on it because it's important. At least it was for me and for the NR back in the early 90s, the late 80s. So one of the things that was really pushed, man, hard, is that, you know, when you're 18, 19 years old and you hit the county jail, obviously a lot of the times, most of the times, unless you got like a brother that gamed you up or you got family that gamed you up about prison, you're basically going to enter the system blind. You don't know what to expect when you get to prison. You don't know how to read a yard. You don't know how to establish a yard. You don't know how the politics work. You don't know how the recruitment works. You don't know how to maintain some type of personal security. All that stuff, you're blind. You're basically walking into an environment, another world that you have no idea of, no concept. So one of the things that was really important to the NR back in like I said, the late 80s, early 90s, was that no norteño will enter the pinta blind, or without any type of knowledge, going into prison. First termers that have never been to prison, they're not supposed to go to prison blind. When you're in the county jails are considered the training grounds, especially for first termers. When you come into the jail, you're 18, 19, you're getting ready to go to prison. Some of the hermanos, or even some of the seasoned norteños that have been around, it was kind of a fundamental responsibility back in those days, or even now, to pull the little homie aside and lace him up. Hey, bro, when you get to prison, this is what you expect. This is what you don't do. This is what can get you in trouble. This is give him some hypotheticals and lace him up so that when he gets there, he's got some type of knowledge about what to. Okay, this is what the homie was talking about. Okay, I understand now what B was when he spoke about the NR and what to expect and how to identify him. This is what he was talking about. I see now, right? So that's one of the things that I didn't get. I didn't get that in my county jail. When I did those, when I stabbed the Southsider and I stabbed the Wood in the county jail, I'm not gonna say that those incidents, caused the hermanos that were there to not get at me, because they were just like, homeboy's a little loose cannon. We're not gonna we're not gonna game him up. I just think, like I said, these two guys, me knowing these two homies, they were real passive type of individuals. They didn't. Even now, when I look back on it, these guys just wouldn't have took the initiative to get at me. They were just like they were good homies, man, don't get me wrong, but they were just do nothing type of cats, man. You know what I'm saying? They just barely did the minimum of what was required to do. I talked about it last night with Jerry. I realize now that I've been through the system, now that I know what I know, San Francisco County Jail was very unestablished. There wasn't a household that was being ran there, and I can't imagine that there was, and that they just kept me out the loop. Hell no, man. There was, like I said, there was no NA app. Nobody, when you hit the jail, this is how it's supposed to work. So as a new arrival, when you come into the jail, and the homies first identify you as, hey, he's a northerner, or somebody's gonna hit you up. Hey, where you from, little homie? You know what I mean? I'm from Frisco. You know what I mean? I'm out of the city. Okay, so you're a northerner. Hey, we'll holler at you, bro. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, get situated. But we're gonna be getting at you in a few, right? So, boom, somebody get at you. The way it usually happens is, you got something to write with. You got some paper, some pencil, something. So they're gonna get at you with a basic. It's called a basic NA app, and that's gonna be like, it's just gonna consist of, hey, what's your name? How old you are? Your vitals. What hood you're from? What they call you, your Picasso, and maybe like just your vitals. Yeah, just your vitals. Name, age, your status, whether you're a northerner, norteño, whether you're a C. So it's just gonna be basic, just so that while you're getting situated and while they get at you with the second round is gonna be a lot more in depth, right? So that's just enough for them to start filtering through the manpower. Hey, any of you guys know John Mendoza, boxer from San Francisco. Any and all good or bad information is gonna come back. They're gonna filter it through all the norteños in the household, and in the jail later on. So you'll get partially cleared when they run it through that household, that pod, that block, that unit, whatever. Once it goes through the entire jail, the entire facility, then you'll get a full clearance if you're cleared. If you got it coming, you got something coming, then you're gonna get that, right? So then after you give them the vitals the first time, then they hit you with a second round of okay, now here's something a little bit more in depth, homie. Check it out. Welcome to the household. This is what I need from you. Your name, your name, your birthday, your age, any and all CDC numbers, your prison history, what you're busted for. A lot of the times if you're in jail, your 114 lockup order, stuff like that. So they're running a check on you, a background check, who you are, where you been, see if you got any smut on you. That's basically what they're gonna do. So, now it goes again through the household, and it goes through the entire jail. Then you'll be advised, hey, you're fully cleared. Like I said, when it's just that unit, you get a partial clearance. You're cleared. You're not privy to the household business because you're not fully cleared yet. But the process started. So then once it goes through the entire jail or prison, wherever you're at, and nothing comes back, then you'll be welcomed into the household formally with the household policies. Hey, homie, welcome, bro. This is our household. These are our policies that we function and live by. Study them, read them, and get to know them. Become familiar with them, bro, because you're gonna have to live by these policies. You're not gonna get the policies and say, well, I forgot there was no sleeping, or I forgot, that yard was mandatory, or I forgot that I had to have my deck shoes on when I was going to the shower. None of that happened in San Francisco County Jail back in the late 80s, early 90s. But when I look back at the whole picture now, it kind of makes sense, because San Francisco County Jail, it really didn't have, you didn't have 20, 30, 40 homies there. You had, enough to really have enough homies to establish a household that they were really pushing that type of line. You might have 1, 2, or 3 homies, that are really with it, that been to the joint, maybe the hermanos, and that push that line. But there's a lot of Africanos in San Francisco County Jail. That's the majority. The Africanos, they're the majority in that jail. I'm not saying that that's an excuse, because later on when I would hit the jail as a hermano, after I had been to prison, I established the jail how it was supposed to be established. I ran NA apps. I ran some of the more in-depth, you know, the NA application, the new arrival process. I ran the household policies. I implemented all that stuff. But anyway, you know, my point is that I didn't get that. I didn't get that when I went to prison. I'm not gonna say I was completely blind. The only homie that reached out and got at me was Rudy Martinez, Rooster from Frisco, from my hood. He's the one that got at me and told me, you know, when he seen the shit that I was doing there, and all the homies knew, even the homies that were on other tiers, you know, B's up there acting like, you know, B stabbed another cat, B stabbed a wood, or B's, you know, causing chaos down there with the Africanos. I mean, everything gets around in the jails. You guys know that, or in prison. But he's the only one that was like, he pulled me over, and he's like, "Look, homie, you're going to the joint for a good minute, bro. 7 years ain't that long, but you're gonna be gone a minute. When you get to Guimas, bro, they're gonna holler at you. The NR is gonna holler at you. They're gonna approach you about making a commitment." I would suggest, bro. I would invite. He had already been to the joint, so you know he knew what he was talking about. But he was like, you know, I would suggest that you really take into consideration, or you really consider making that commitment, bro, because you're young. You like to gang bang, bro. You know what I mean? You ain't got no problem getting blood on your hands. You know what I'm saying? You got love for the gente, bro. So, man, think about it, homie. You know what I mean? Think about it, bro. I think it's something you'll excel in, bro. You could go a long ways. I always remember that. When I hit Quentin, that seed was already planted. So, I wasn't blind, but you know, nobody really laced me up about what to expect. I basically had to feel I mean, when I got there, the homies got at me. So, I would eventually, you know, somebody would eventually get at me. Oh, you motherfucker! It's 1,000 degrees in there. My fan must have blow out now. Are you serious? Piece of shit. Oh, maybe that's why it's not plugged in. It's running on rechargeable batteries. Come on. There you go. Okay, so anyway, so let me get back to it now. So I remember I'm in the jail now, and San Mateo, they convicted me first. I got my time from San Mateo. They shot me back to San Francisco. So I'm in San Francisco County, and I ended up getting sentenced over there. And now I catch the bus. They put me on the fucking Grey Goose, man, which is, everybody knows is what they call the CDC bus, California Department of Corrections. Looks like a fucking Greyhound, but they call it the Goose, man, the Grey Goose. So anyway, I remember the day they called me to pack my shit. Boom, Mendoza, you're going to San Quentin. My first time in prison. Was I scared? I'm not gonna say I was terrified. You know, I mean, come on, man. I grew up in the streets. I seen a lot, done a lot. But was I scared? Absolutely. You know what I mean? I was, shit. San Quentin was a different place than it is now back then. Prison was a different type of environment. I used to hear a lot of stories about shit that was happening in prison, and it's nothing like that you hear now. You hear, I mean, right now there's a lot of killings that are going on, and it's coming back to how it used to be. These guys that came out of the chute, they're bringing that old school mentality back. So it's getting back to where it was, but that's how it was when I touched down. And it was just the mentality, the caliber of, you know, the individuals back in those days. It was completely different, man. It's hard to articulate it, to really have you guys understand how different it was, but it was like night and day. Anyway, so I know I probably already covered this, man, and it's repetitive, but It's all good, man. Anyway, so I remember driving to San Quentin on your way. Anytime you go to prison, anytime you catch a bus, whether it's from county jail to prison, prison to prison, those are some fucked up rides, man. And any of you that have been to prison, you know what I'm talking about. Usually the bus is quiet. You might be talking to the cat next to you. Usually I was always in the cage. So on the bus, guys that are validated or troublemakers or guys that have issues, um, guys that are in protective custody, all that, they got like 4 or 6 cages up in the front where they put, they'll basically put you up in there by yourself if you fall under one of those categories. In the back of the bus, that's where everybody's at. So you might be chained up to the homie or some other cat. But still, even when you're on that freeway and you're going to prison, you're thinking about everything you left behind, man. You're thinking about your family. You're thinking about your kids. You're thinking about how everything is gonna be when you come back home. And I mean, if you got a grip of time, if you took 10, 15, 20 years with you, shit's gonna be different. Family's gonna die off. Your girl might she might fall off the team, man. You know what I mean? Your kids might be graduating by the time you come home. I mean, all these things are playing through your mind. If you're an animal lover, you got a dog, you got a little fucking pit bull or a little chihuahua like Gizmo, you're thinking about, damn, man, my little homie's gonna be gone. Seriously, all these things play out through your mind when you're on that bus. It's a fucked up, depressing ride. It is, man. I don't think I was in a cage for my first time. I think I was in the back with everybody else, but it wasn't that I was antisocial. But I remember I was on the bus, just quiet, just taking in the scenery, man. But at the same time, all these thoughts were running through my mind. So anyway, I remember I already told you guys kind of how the bus is set up. You got your driver, obviously. Then you got another transportation officer, and they pick the biggest, ugliest motherfuckers, man, to transport inmates from wherever they're going. The biggest, ugliest, meanest motherfuckers, man. You know what I mean? So you got the driver, and then you got another guy that's up in the front with them that's got a weapon. Then you have another guy that's sitting all the way in the back, another officer, in a small little cage all by himself. And he's got a weapon. So anytime they stop, like they'll stop off to use the bathroom or something like that, or for lunch to grab something at a McDonald's or something, they'll get off the bus, dramatic fashion. They'll come out, one will post up with his gun. And that's how they do it. You're sitting on the bus just checking these fools out. Fuck, man, no. Anyway, so once we got to San Quentin, once we actually got there, we pulled up to the front gate. I remember the first thing that I thought to myself was like, God damn. I remember seeing San Quentin all the time when I was on the Bay Bridge, and I would always see it in the distance. Like, there goes fucking Quentin right there, man. But when you pull up to that front gate, you realize how big that prison is. It's fucking massive, man. I mean, it's a little city. It's got its own fire station, its own. It's self-contained. You know what I mean? They got actual streets up in there. You know what I mean? In the front, they have it's a community, houses of COs that live on the grounds. Actual houses. It's crazy. But anyway, so I remember these guys got off the bus. They're required to leave their weapons right there in the lockers up in the front. And when you have another officer that'll come in from the prison that works that front gate. He'll come in with the clipboard and do a quick roll call to make sure that there's 25 bodies, and then boom, the process is through. We'll go through. You're taking the whole prison in, man. You're looking at it. It's taking in all the different the places where they had the family visiting, where they basically had the conjugal visits, and like I said, the firehouse, and you're seeing inmates here and there. Some of them are already programmed and doing their thing, all fitted up in CDC gear. Anyway, so you get to another sally port. It's a big ass sally port. It's caged in, cages the whole bus in, and this is where they look under the bus, make sure nothing's coming in. They do another roll call, another body count, and once they're done with all that, they run you through, man, and the bus drives through the yard. This is where I was telling you guys that, you know, even in my book, I mentioned this, that so once the bus actually, the wheels hit the yard, everybody's like fucking, you can see everybody rubbing. They're trying to just see everything. Mostly everybody on the bus is first termers. They're all new commitments most of the time. So everybody's just quiet, just checking everybody out. Damn, you know, first thing you come in and see is like the fucking, you'll see the Indians. They got their little sweat lodge in their own little area that's theirs, and you'll see a massive weight pile that used to be there. Bar work. They got the bars, and then you got a lot of times a lot of the paisas are on the soccer field playing. I mean, you see a lot of activities. People running and walking the track. You see the gun towers. You can pretty much see it all when you're coming through that front gate. So bus comes in, pulls up to an area that they call R&R, receiving and release. Anything coming through that institution or leaving has to go through R&R. That's where they process everything. So bus pulls up in front of R&R. They come, you know, they come in, the transportation officers, and they take everybody's chains off, your shackles and your belly chains, one at a time. Come up. Get on the seat, get on your knees, and they take everything up. Send you back to your seat. They come in again, do another roll call, and then they'll have everybody come out the bus and line up in front of R&R. So now you're just posted up. You're posted up, standing in front of R&R, and there's a line. They're gonna run you in, but you're standing out there for about a good 5-10 minutes, checking everybody out on the yard. That's where, when I was standing there, a couple of my homies from my hood were on the weight pile. They were like, "Hey, B." And I looked over there and I seen them and I was like, "What's up, bro?" You know what I mean? That right there eased my nerves, man. It took all the, you know, I was on edge, man. This is the first time I'm in San Quentin, 19 years old. But that right there, just knowing that there was somebody that I knew there, calm my nerves, man. From that point on, I was like, I had adjusted into that environment. It's crazy to say that, but being in prison for the first time at 19, I adjusted relatively fast, man. So when you go into R&R, and I know that some of you probably think that this kind of stuff right here is it's redundant, you know what I mean? You might not want to hear about it, but I know there's a lot of people that got at me and like, I want to know everything, B. When you get there, how do they do it, the process, how they take you in, the point system, the criteria, all that. So I'm just kind of giving a somewhat of a, not an in-depth, but I'm walking you through the what's and whys, man. So like I said, the line goes into R&R, and what they're doing is they're stripping everybody out. So when it's your turn and you make it up to those doors, you're gonna come in and you're gonna see 3 or 4 COs that are standing there with gloves on, and they're stripping everybody out. Usually there's like 3 or 4 that they do it at the same time. So nuts and butts, man. You strip butt ass naked. Ban, cough, and all that good stuff, man. All that stuff to make you morally feel fucked up. You know what I mean? They want to see you lift your little fucking pickle and you want to look up your fucking your man pocket, man. You know what I'm saying? After that, they throw you a jumpsuit and some fucking Jap slaps. If you're lucky, you know somebody, you got a homie there like I did at that time. I had a homeboy named Frank Nitty. A lot of you that went through Quentin back in those days probably remember him. Frank Nitty was there, so he blessed me with some fucking some deck shoes. Uh, these shoes that these Jap flaps that they used to call them, and that's no disrespect to my Asian brothers, but that's what they call them in prison. But they're Chinese style shoes that they're slip-ons, and it's like the bottoms are like fucking not rubber, man, but some kind of you slip and slide on them motherfuckers. They're like skid pads, man, straight up. Oh, if you're gonna fight, you gotta kick them motherfuckers off. You got zero traction, but you don't want to be caught wearing those motherfuckers. They're just fucked up. They're bad all the way around. But homeboy gave me some deck shoes, which are like some old school winos, just like that, and they're way more comfortable, and they're just a lot better, man. So then you go through the process of getting your fingerprints taken, getting your picture taken, and then they process your property. Whatever you can have, they're gonna give you. Whatever you can't have, you're either gonna throw that shit away, you're gonna donate it, or you're gonna better have money on your books to send it home. Otherwise, they're gonna trash that shit. So that's what they do in R&R. The only other thing that they do over there is, before they run you out of there, is they give everybody a fish kit. And your fish kit, what it consists of is your sheets, your blankets, your towel, a cup, some fucking powder toothpaste that tastes like Ajax, a small toothbrush that's about 2 inches. It's about a 2-inch toothbrush. They basically just break the tip off. Some earplugs because it gets loud as a motherfucker up in there. I can't remember if they actually give you Comet. I think they do. A little bit of Comet, a little torn piece of fucking green Brillo pad, or not Brillo pad, but the green kind of like the steel wool pad to clean your fucking cell, man. I'm pretty sure that's about it. They give you all your necessities. So then, after they give everybody their fish kits and everybody's been processed, then they have everybody get up in a single file line or 2 single file lines, and they march you over to West Block. At that time, West Block was where all the new arrivals, all the first termers, a lot of first termers were being housed. Bayside and Yardside, that's what they called them. So the first thing, in order to get up there, you're gonna walk up to the upper yard, and you're basically gonna get to see like where the canteen's at. You're gonna get to see like one of the chow halls right there. They walk you up, you make a right, you turn through the rotunda. It's where basically leads into the chow halls. The other, you go left and you go in the Alpine, Donner section, Badger section, or Carson section. So that's basically South Block. You go through that rotunda and you're gonna hit West Block Yard, exercise yard. That's where everybody in the reception center basically gets their exercise on. You know, you're gonna see a little gun tower up on the wall, and basically it's just, you got a handball court and a bunch of empty space. In the corner, that's where they have the school or classes. So the whole purpose of a reception center is basically, when you come into prison, they gotta classify you. They gotta figure out like first of all, your criminal background, your history. That's gonna play a significant role in how you're classified, where you go, whether you're level 1, 2, 3, or 4. What kind of crime you caught? Is it violent? Are you a first termer? Are you a second termer? Do you got life? Those are things that they're gonna take into consideration that will have an effect on your point system. Your level of education is another one that will have an effect. So at some point they're gonna do like I don't know what you would call it. It's basically, they're gonna test you to see where your grade level is. Then they're gonna also run your medical. You know, any kind of medical needs that you might have, they're gonna see to it while you're there in the reception center. Um, so that's about it, man. Then you'll talk to a counselor, and based on your background and the counselor's his take or his evaluation on like your history, how you grew up, whether you're married or not, whether you came from whether you're a COA, child of an addict, and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff is gonna have an effect on where they send you. It has a cumulative effect. So, like I said, your education, your criminal history, whether or not you're married, all those things. That's the criteria that they go on to classify you and to figure out whether you're level 1, 2, 3, or 4. Most of the time, new commitments are usually level 1s or 2s. Unless you got a violent case and something like that, you might make a level 3 yard. But most of the time you're level 1s and 2s. Most of those guys are going to camp anyway. So I remember the first thing when I went through West Block exercise yard, it was empty. Nobody was out there. Nobody was programming. It was like later in the day, everybody was locked up in their cells. They usually run program or yard during the morning up until about 2 o'clock, somewhere around then. By the time we got there, it was already pushing 3 o'clock, so there was nobody out there on the exercise yard. I think the laundry workers were the only ones that were fucking running around playing handball court out there. And I'll get to that in a minute, where I basically learned how to manipulate staying out all day, kicking it with those dudes. But so when they walked us through the exercise yard, we hit West Block, the Rotunda, which is some big ass doors. They're huge. The cop told the tower to let them know that we were out there waiting. They had the doors closed. So the door opens up, and the first thing that you notice is the noise level. It hits you in the face, bro, like you're at a football game or something. The motherfucking the 49ers score a touchdown. Yeah, I know, man. They ain't doing too good, but it is what it is, man. But that's how loud it gets. It's fucking loud. Just imagine you got two sides, yard side and base side. You got 5 tiers on each side. Each tier, there's about 100 motherfuckers. Close around there. The tiers are long as fuck. But anyway, none of these guys in reception center, none of them got TVs, none of them got radios. So all day long, these motherfuckers are on the doors talking to their neighbors, or talking. The dude on the 5th tier is talking to cat on the 1st tier. Cat on the 1st tier is talking to cat on the 3rd tier. 3rd tier is talking to the 5th tier. 5th tier is talking to the 2nd tier. You know what I mean? Imagine 500 dudes yelling at the same time, all fucking yelling, or trying to have a conversation, or playing chess, or fishing. You know what I mean? One time, homie, go ahead, pull it. That's all you're gonna hear. You're gonna see lions flying over the tier. That's what you're gonna see. So when you get in there, they'll call you up. The floor officer in there is gonna assign you a cell. Okay, you boom. Mendoza, you're a northerner. All right, here. Going to 426. Bow. So he gives you that piece of paper. You go up to 426, man. That's what you're gonna see. You're gonna walk up the stairs to the 4th tier, and stuff like this is what I'm talking about. So when you're walking down a tier like that, right? It's considered very disrespectful for you to walk down the tier and to be looking in people's cells. It's disrespectful. You could get into a situation like that. I mean, if you're just walking by looking in people's cells, and hey, what the fuck you looking at, homie? You know what I'm saying? It's things like that first termers wouldn't know. But I had enough sense of mind to where I kind of knew that it was disrespectful. I felt like I was intruding on somebody's privacy. But I remember walking down the tier for the first time. out of my peripheral, I'm still looking in the cells, but I'm not directly looking in there, making eye contact with motherfuckers. I'm just making sure that I can see what's going on, out of habit. You know, that's what it was, man. So boom, I get down there. I end up meeting my cellie. He's a northerner, good homeboy out of San Jose. Um, and eventually, you know, they pop the door. I get up in the cell, man. So for the first 10 days, you're on what's called CTQ, confined to quarters. You ain't going nowhere. You're not going out to the exercise yard. You don't go nowhere but to the chow hall and back. That's it. So, you know, I get in the cell, and one of the first things I noticed in Quentin about being over there for my first time is like, this is like living in a fucking closet. It's small, man. You can't put one arm on this wall and stretch all the way to this wall. You can put both arms out and you'll be touching both walls, and you can't straighten your arms out. That's how small it is, and it's you know, for first termers, it's a learning curve, man, to be able to learn how to cohabitate in a cell with another man, and to be conscious of where you're at, where he's at, not to step on this, you know, to clean that up. You know, when you use the facilities, man, make sure that, you know, that you're mindful of cleaning up after yourself, man, of straightening up the cell, not intruding on his privacy or not disrespecting his property. You know what I mean? So again, man, even as a first termer, I kind of had the sense of mind to just kind of know. I learned something in the county jail. You know, I had a cellie over there in 6 North. So these are things that I kind of learned over there. You know, that homie that I'm talking about that I celled up with, the first homeboy that I ended up selling up with in Quentin, he was a good dude. So, like I said, the only place you're gonna go is to the chow hall and back for the first 10 days. But even, you know, just to go to the chow hall, that's when you get a chance to see everybody. When they run chow, they run one side at a time, bay side or yard side. So you're gonna get to see everybody that's on that side. From the first tier to the 5th tier, they let everybody out together. It's like 1,000 motherfuckers, man, going to the chow hall. That's why if somebody's gonna get hit in the reception center, it's usually gonna happen like during, well, it can happen like during the exercise yard, but like going to and from chow, there's a lot of blind spots. There's a lot of traffic, so that's the best time to smack somebody and to get away, man. You know, you're running the risk of somebody telling on you, but there's just so many bodies out there, man, that boom, you plug somebody a couple times and you're gone. So, you know, getting up in the cell, I started asking my cellie questions. Hey, so when do they run chow? Or, you know, when do we hit yard? Or, you know what I mean? I started asking my cellie questions like that, man, and you know, he laced me up. He's the one that kind of put me up. Hey, well, this, you know, you got these homies over here, and you know, this dude's down there. I think this dude's NR, and woo woo woo. You know, so he was giving me the game, telling me how, you know, the chow hall works, how we sit down, where, you know, we basically don't get to sit where we want. They kind of corral you in and have you sit whoever you're with, whoever's in front or behind you, that's who you're gonna sit with. So, you know, I got a chance to run into a lot of cats to and from chow, and that's where you only come out twice, in the morning for breakfast, and then when you go to breakfast in the morning, on your way out of the chow hall, when you empty your tray and shit, give them your cup and your spoon, they hand you a box lunch. So that's your lunch. So there's no need for you to come back in the chow hall until dinner time. That's when you come and do the same thing all over again. But what I was gonna say is, so the only time I come out is for chow, and there's one other time, and that's to shower. So, man, look. So this is the thing about showers over in San Quentin, man. The first time I got ready, to shower. Obviously, I wanted to shower like everybody else, but this is how it happened. So, boom, they get on the intercom. Bayside, getting ready to run showers. 5 minutes, right? Fifth tier, going fifth tier first, whatever. So, I think I was on the fourth tier, but all of a sudden, man, you can hear them when they pull the bar, right? You can just hear it. But you hear that, then pull the bar, and then what you hear is like a fucking stampede. You hear those jack flaps smacking, right? Just picture like 100 motherfuckers running down the tier. They're all trying to get down there first so that they can be first to get to a shower head. There's like 16 shower heads down there, and there's 100 dudes. Each shower head, so imagine there's 16 shower heads, there's 100 dudes down there. There's lines in front of every shower head. So there's probably like 3 or 4 dudes per shower head showering, right? They're lathering up in your boxers, you know what I mean? Eventually motherfuckers get butt ass naked, but it's you get in, do your thing, and you get out. But the fucked up thing about it was, I went down there and showered one time, man, and that was enough for me. Because this is the thing. So when you get down there, first going through that little stampede shit's crazy, man. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, literally motherfuckers running, trying to get down the stairs and shit, and then get down there. But that's not the worst part about it. The worst part about it is, so imagine, like I said, 16 shower heads. You got about 40 dudes in front of these shower heads showering right now, and then you got these lines. But when it's your turn to shower, you got to step over like a small wall. It's probably like 2 feet tall. On the other side of that wall, that's where the drains are, obviously, and you step in. You're stepping into standing water that comes up to like mid ankle, maybe almost to your knees sometimes. The drains are plugged up, and the water is some type of fucking green, slimy, fucking gunk. You know what I mean? Damn, man, it's crazy. Motherfucker, get up out of there with some Mississippi swamp feet, man. Seriously, I mean, the first time I went down there, I stepped up in that water, took a shower like everybody else, but I was like, fuck that. You know what I mean? And that's how I became a professional bird bather. From that day on, a professional bird bather was born. Seriously. I never hit that shower again. Unless somebody was gonna get dealt with, unless something was gonna happen down there and I knew about it, I never went back down there again, man. So every time they would run showers, my celly he didn't mind. So when he'd be down there showering, I go ahead and get my bird bath out the way. You know, that's another thing. You gotta learn how to be a professional bird bather, man. You gotta learn how to respect, hang your sheet up, plug up the sink, and basically you're taking a cup and pouring water over you, and you're just lathering up, and as you go, you're rinsing. A lot of times dudes will straddle the toilet, they'll sud up, straddle the toilet, and then pour water over them, rinse off, and you're done. You know what I mean? Hit them motherfucking key areas, and you're good to go, man. You know what I mean? You get just as clean as you would in a shower. You know what I'm saying? Maybe even better. So, what was I gonna say? Okay, so what was the trip was, so within that week, that first week or two, I realized that Pops was there. This was the Africano that was in the county jail. I think I might have already told you guys that. That's what's fucked up about taking a whole week off, man. I forget what I said, what I didn't say, what I've already covered, man. But anyway, for good measure, so I see Pops. I see him there. This is the Africano that was kind of leading the charge against me when it came to second 2 South, when these guys were tripping because I was making weapons and because they said I was stabbing people and causing animosity. So I see him, right? I see him on the tier. He's on the same fucking tier as I am, but he's on the front bar. No, he's on the back bar. He was on the back bar because they ran showers, and I remember going down to his cell, walking down to the back bar. So it's a trip, man. I had no intentions on fucking beefing with this dude. I didn't have a beef with the Africanos. You know what I mean? All that shit was unnecessary, man. But anyway, so I walked down to his cell, and I looked in his cell, and he had his back turned. He was getting something out the locker, right? So I opened up his door, and that's even a no-no. You don't do that, man. You know, something like that. If you don't know him, opening up the door and just walking in somebody's cell, get your head taken off. But anyway, so I open up the door, and I'm like, "What's up, pops?" And he looks, and he's like, it's like he's like he's seen a deer in the headlights, man. He looked at me, and he's like, "What's up, boxer?" And the way he said it, man, I knew he didn't want no problems. You know what I mean? I said, "Hey, pops, man." I said, "Look, man, let me tell you something. That shit that happened in the county jail was He was like, "Man, you ain't even gotta say nothing, man." He was like, I apologize. I'm sorry. I was wrong. You know what I mean? The Brown brothers, man, have always been allies. You know what I mean? I don't know, man. There was other people that were uncomfortable. He was trying to put it off on some weak ass story. I didn't buy it, man. You know what I mean? But I just was like, "Hey, it's all good, man. I'm not tripping." You know what I mean? The little youngster, he was like, "Hey, as far as the little youngster that tried to poke you with the broom, he's like, I ain't with that." And we got at him and told him, but he was just basically following our lead, and I was like, it's good, man. I'm not tripping. I just came down there to let you know that there's not an issue. So, if you see me, you don't have to think that there's an issue, man, or it doesn't have to escalate any further than what it did. You know what I mean? Because it was never about you guys, man, in the first place. If anything, you know what I mean? This is my first time in prison. I don't even know how the politics work, but I knew enough to know that you guys were our allies. So I'm gonna rock with you, man, before anybody else. That's what I couldn't understand, is why you pushed up on me like that, man. And the beef had nothing to do with you guys, man. He was like, "No, I hear you, man, but people get uncomfortable when they see knives and shit. Whatever, man." We talked, we shook hands, and that was the end of it. But it's a trip how that situation could have came back to bite him in the butt, man. You know what I mean? Because prison's a whole nother different environment. It's not the county jail. It's not the county jail, and people don't function under the mass majority. Those rules in prison. There's somebody you got an issue with. I just pick up a piece and stab your ass, man. It's as simple as that. You know what I mean? We could forget about all that other stuff. Anyway, so I go through my 10-day CTQ. During that time, I think they ran me to the medical. I got my shots. I went down there, seen the doctor, seen the dentist. You know what I mean? Did all that stuff. And I believe I also went down and took their equivalency test, or whatever that fucking test is. I went down there and took that test. They have it in the classroom. You get a ducat, which is basically a little a piece of paper saying that you're supposed to go down to the classroom at a certain time. So I got my ducat, went down to class, and I was done with that part of it. A couple months later, I would end up seeing the counselor. That's what always takes the longest. For you to see your counselor, once you see him, it's a wrap. You're gonna be out of there anytime after that, because he's the one that makes a recommendation of where you go. So anyway, the one thing Rudy told me when I was in the county jail is like, when it comes to the NR, you're gonna see them. You'll spot them. You'll know who they are. They move and walk and talk different than the regular Norteños. Most of the NR members are covered with ink. They have a lot of tattoos. A lot of them, you might see the well-got bird, or you might see the NR insignia, an eagle with the sombrero and a dagger in his talon, right? So The first time I went out to the exercise yard, it was easy to read the yard, man. Simple as that. When I came out, I seen the woods. They had their little spot. The Asians, Polynesians, and the others had their little spot, their tables, an area where they kicked it at, did their thing. You had the Norteños on the handball court playing handball. The Africanos had a bunch of tables and they were doing their thing. And everybody's kind of working out with water bags, doing dip bars, push-ups, and playing handball. And then way back in the far corner, I see about 15 cats covered with ink, and they were in formation doing burpees. They were busting down. And then you had two dudes standing. They had a perimeter where they were standing in front of them, keeping security. And I knew that that was the NR right there. Those that must be the hermanos right there. So, you know, I make my way around the yard and shit. And there was another one of my homies named Shorty, Hector Sanchez. Whatchamacallit, one of the viewers knows him, and she's always mentioning him. Silver something. I hope you see this episode right here. But anyway, so me and Shorty, you know, homeboy's a little bit older than me, took me up under his wing, and we, you know, his thing was bar work. So I used to work out with him on the bar. But when we weren't working out, I used to tell him, hey, you know, let's do our push-ups. But I used to go over there in that general area where these NR members were working out. And this was the first time I met an individual named Paul Alavencia, Puerto Rican puppet. Me and Jerry mentioned him a couple times already during our podcast. Another individual that was there was Chocolate, Ray Perez, out of San Jose. He's the one that actually pulled me. Puerto Rican Puppet was my sponsor. There was another individual that had something to do with my recruitment named James Sotelo out of San Jose. But anyway, you know, me and Shorty would go over there in the corner by these guys, and we start doing our push-ups, right? We start doing our push-ups, and I was attracted, you know, to just being around NR members. I wanted to be around these guys, man. I wanted to see how they moved, how they carry themselves. Because, you know, the way Rudy told me, Rooster, is like, you know, you can tell these guys carry themselves different from the regular Norteños. They're schooled up. They're a lot of them are healthy. You know what I mean? Because they do machina. They work out. They fucking train, man. So, you know, when I seen these guys, man, I wanted to surround myself. I wanted to be around them. So we started doing push-ups over there. And all it took was, you know, just common conversation, man. One day, Puerto Rican Puppet came up, and he was like, what's up, homie? He was like, man, I see you getting your money out here, right? And I'm like, yeah, bro. You know, me and the homie just, we try to knock out like 500-600 push-ups every yard, you know what I mean? And he was like, that's cool, bro. And he's like, you out of Frisco? I was like, yeah. You know, he's like, you know this homie, solid dude. I was with him in Folsom. You know this homie, yup. He's a little bit older, but yeah, that's the homie, Roach. I was with him in Solano. He's like, you know, solid dudes. Anyway, we're just talking, look. And at one point, it turns. He turns the conversation to, so what have you heard about the NR? How do you feel about sacrificing your release date for the people? You know, for the cause, the movement, the cause. What's the cause? What's the movement? You know what I mean? How would you feel about sacrificing your release date? You know, if it came down to it, if, you know, the homies were gonna go at it with the Southsiders or the Woods. You know, would you rock with the homies, or, you know, would you not want to be a part of it? Or so he's picking my brain to see where my loyalties are at, right? All these different questions he's asking me. It's like, I might not be the most intelligent dude in the world, but the obvious answers, I knew how he wanted me to answer those questions. You know, when he asked me, would I be willing to stab somebody? you know, for the cause, the movement. It's like I've done it on the streets. I mean, if the homies needed me to do something like that, I do it. You know what I mean? As far as sacrificing my release date, I got 7 years. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the most they can give me is they can max me out. What have I heard about the NR? I've heard a little bit about it, but you know, I want to hear more about it. You know what I mean? I want to learn more about the history and the cause. You know what it represents, and um, so, you know, basically my answers, what I was conveying to him, I was basically expressing that I had a desire to make a commitment. That's what I expressed to him. And him being an intelligent guy, you know, he recognized that. And from that point on, uh, me and that cat became inseparable. So, you know, from that point on, you know, whenever I come out to go to the chow hall, I'd be like, hey, homie, hey, meet me right here. You know, when they run chow, like, post up right here. If you come out first, post up right here. If I come out, I'll be posted up right here. Um, this way we can go to the chow hall together. I want to start going over some things with you, man. So cool, it's all good. You know what I mean? So from that point on, uh, they put me on a 90-day probationary period. And again, I've talked about this before in some of my past lives or some of my spills, but the purpose of being put on a probationary period is twofold. There's two purposes for it, underlying purposes. Now, one of the main reasons is to give you an opportunity to see what you're signing up for, to see if this is what you really want to make a commitment to. So during this 90 days, you're going to function as if you were an NR member, as if you were an actual sanctioned NR member. Your membership isn't formally sanctioned, but you're going to do all the things that an NR member does throughout his day-to-day career. You could be asked to do any number of things. You could be asked to participate in the stabbing. You could be asked to keep security on somebody, like when they were working out and you had these 2 security posts. I could be asked to keep security on them. I could be asked to hold some paperwork, to carry a weapon, to drop a weapon. I mean, whatever NR members do throughout their career, throughout their day-to-day activities, you're going to be doing during those 90 days. So, and during that time, the bonds were kept, they were sacred, man. You never got to see the bonds. Like if you seen the bonds, that was something fucking huge. I remember the first time bro, these are the bonds right here. You know what I mean? They used to be kept under lock and key, and only chosen few would see him. Only NR members would see him. Those that were being recruited, you would get to see the bonds, but they would come in sections and it would be out of order. So you get to see like bond 5. Then you get to see like later on, maybe you get to see like bond 7. You know, so but when you seen them, they were like, it was an honor and a privilege, and you felt privileged to see, you know, like, damn homie, you gonna allow me to read this? That's how it was back in those days, man. Now it's like it's fucking romper room, man. Anybody sees the bonds. Matter of fact, some of these households, when you come in as part of the NA app, as part of the NA process, once they formally welcome you into the household, you get a copy of the bonds and you get to read them and go over them. It's crazy, man. But anyway, so there were several things that I was asked to do during that time. But I remember, getting introduced to a lot of the hermanos that were there. Puerto Rican Puppet would introduce me to these guys, and I wasn't introduced as an NR member. I was introduced as like a prospect, you know what I mean? And a lot of them knew that, you know what I mean? One of the things that I was asked to do during my 90-day probationary period, I was asked to keep security on Puerto Rican pubs. That was one of my main things. But I was asked to help remove a JCAT, a white dude that was just He was a fucking idiot, man. He used to run his mouth and disrespect people on the tier. So, um, I was asked to go to assist two other homies in removing them. And when I was asked to participate, it was like I didn't question it. I didn't ask why. I didn't ask how. I was just like, okay, it's all good. You know me, point me in the direction, I'll go, man. So, you know what I mean? I remember we got rid of this individual. We socked him up on the tier. It didn't, he didn't require us to stab him. And I didn't know how it was going to go down. All I did is participate in it. I remember walking up on the dude. The homie walked up on the one side. I came up on the other. We boxed him in, and then we we mollywopped the dude. Got him up, tried to throw him off the tier. He hugged the bars, and basically we beat the shit out of him. But problem solved. He was gone. They took him. One of the other things I was asked to do was to carry and maintain a weapon, and I used to have to keep it. I kept it outside my cell on top of a ledge. So, like, I was on the 4th tier. So the 5th tier, the bottom of the tier is right there. There's a little light right there, and I used to keep the pedazo right there. Every time I come out the cell, I used to have to carry that pedazo and keep security on the homie. You know, during those 90 days though, every time we would go out to the rec yard or during chow, Puerto Rican Puppet started going over everything with me. This is your history right here, brother, right? So he'd recite the format and he'd go over the history with me. This is the reason why. This is why this was that. This is why this happened. This is why that happened. This is how the war escalated. This is what the NF is, the BGF, the Mexican Mafia, the Aryan Brotherhood. So I mean, he started giving it all to me. Boom. And I was asking questions. I was hungry, man. I was striving back in those days. I felt it was an honor and a privilege that he was willing to recruit me. One other thing I was going to tell you guys that happened over there, man, that was significant. Anyway, it must not be important. You know, the full 90 days I didn't even do the full 90 days before I ended up getting the ticket to Susanville. Eventually I seen my counselor, went down there, did the interview with him, and from that point on I was waiting to get endorsed somewhere. The first prison that they endorsed me to was Susanville. Susanville was considered a gladiator school back in those days. It was a prison, like, it was kind of similar to Jamestown. A lot of first termers, a lot of youngsters. You weren't gonna find any NF, BGF, Mexican Mafia, or Aryan Brotherhood members over there. It was just a bunch of youngsters waiting to go to camp. Most of them were first termers. So when my number came up, man, what was that I was gonna tell you guys though, man? Well, you know, once I had been in the reception center for a while, I learned how to stay out of my fucking cell all day too. That's one of the other things I was gonna tell you guys. I learned how to basically manipulate the program. What I used to do was, so when we go to chow in the morning, and I'd be on the 4th tier, I'd end up climbing over the bars, and I'd climb down, all the way down to the 3rd tier, the 2nd tier, and I'd go outside and I'd blend in with the laundry workers or the school. The guys that were hanging out in front of the school, I'd end up going over there and I'd kick it with them, and they'd run everybody in. So I'd be out literally from the morning until like 4 o'clock when the laundry workers would have to lock it up. I stayed out all fucking day, man, and kicked it. Oh, one of the other things I was going to tell you guys is this, man. So I ran into James Blanco. True story, man. I ran into one of the Blancos, and somebody asked what KJ is. For those of you that don't know, KJ is fucking PCP. That's what KJ is. Somebody asked that in the comment. So anyway, anybody that knows anything about the Blancos knows that the Blancos are fucking, when it comes to KJ, they're like the KJ, they made San Jose the KJ capital. you know what I mean, of California at one time. They used to move a lot of PCP, man. But what was crazy is I remember a lot of my homies used to get their their uh their PCP from the Blancos. They used to drive out to San Jose, and the city was flooded. Everybody was smoking monsters or killers, whatever you want to call them. But and the Blancos were known as major PCP suppliers. But what was a trip was I ran into James Blanco in San Quentin. Sat down at the same table with this dude. This motherfucker handed me a leño in prison. I couldn't believe it, man. It was like we started talking. He was like, "Hey, homie," he was like, he's like, "You smoke that shit?" And I was like, "What, KJ?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Shit." I mean, not it's not my thing, but right now I smoke one. He was like, "Here, bro." I couldn't believe it, man. I was like, "Damn." He was like, "Just give me $20 worth of a commissary, man, and we're good, bro." So I got him his commissary by going it straight up, man. This was foul, and you know you could actually get in trouble for something like this. But I could have probably gotten a lot of trouble. But I remember everybody was at Chow one time, and after he gave me that leño, I stayed back and I crept up into somebody's cell and I took all their canteen, all their commissary, to pay for that KJ. So I covered them. Me and my cellie, we smoked that shit, man. I couldn't believe it. Like, damn, this fool's known on the streets for having KJ, but this fool in prison, he still got leños. It was just crazy. Anyway, so I'm gonna end up closing up right here. The last thing I'm gonna say is, so you know, after going over all my schooling, they indoctrinated me in Quentin, the weaponry, and still I had a lot to learn, man. But they just gave me the basics. But still, I went over all the bonds. I went over the format. I went over the NR history, the NF history. I went over all the hypotheticals, what my responsibilities and expectations were, the 7 phases, sign language. I went through all that. We covered all that in about 5 or 6 months. Now, the day I got my ticket, they called my name. I remember going down the puppet cell and I was like, "Hey, homie, I'm gone, bro." They got me on a bus to Susanville, and he was like, "Cool, bro." He was like, "Man, no, I hate to see you go, man. You know what I mean? I'm gonna miss you, fool. But hey, it's all good. Go over there to the other side, the bay side, and go to this cell and let the homie know that you're leaving." So I go over there and it ends up being Chocolate, right? I was like, "Hey, homie," I had never met him before. I was like, "Hey, bro, my name is Woo Woo, right? My name is Boxer from Frisco. Homeboy, Puerto Rican Pups, he sent me over here. He wanted me to let you know, bro, I'm gone, homie. I'm catching a bus to Susie's house." And he was like, "Okay." He was like, "Cool, B." He was like, "Cool, man." He was like, "Hey, first and foremost, brother, I want to welcome you to the to the movement, bro. I'm gonna go ahead and sanction your status. You're now at hermano. You know what I mean? I've been keeping tabs with your level of schooling. Pups pretty much told me everything that's going on. As far as with you in the recruitment process, I'm comfortable with bringing you in, brother. So welcome to our movement." You know what I mean? And he's like, "Look, you're getting ready to go to a new household for the first time. You're gonna hit a main line right now. You're gonna be out there with Southsiders, Woods." He's like, "Brother, listen. When you get there, don't expose your hand. They'll find you." He goes, "Because the problem is, if you go over there and you just start exposing your status, they're gonna lock you up. We're considered a disruptive group right now. All they need is three things to lock you up in the shoot program, and you can never get out. So when you get there, bro, fall in line. Just fall in line, bro. Fall in line. Continue the program, and they'll find you. They'll they'll be able to find you, homie. You know what I mean? Just trust me. But take those words of wisdom right there. Go over there and just fall in line and stay in touch, brother. You know what I mean? Pup says you're gonna, you're gonna keep an open line with you, and he's like, I wish you the best, man. I wish you the best, bro. And again, he welcomed me to the cause. So from that point on, man, it became official, and he told me, he was like, always remember this date right here. This date right here is gonna serve as your birthday. This is the day that's recognized as bringing you into the movement. You became a brother on this day right here. And he's always remember this date. And when you're ever asked, Puerto Rican Puppet is your sponsor, I'm the one that recruited you. I'm the one that actually sanctioned your membership. So I was like, okay, I got that. This is my birthday, and this is my sponsor, and this is who recruited me. And I'd have to recite these things over the years many times in different households. So I always remember who recruited me, and I always remember what day I was recruited. And it's the same thing with the NF. Same thing, 90-day probationary period, and you have the day that you came in. Those are dates that are important to you. Anyway, this pretty much covers episode 10 of Inner Demons. There's a lot of things that I'm still trying to remember. As far as my first term, it's gonna get interesting when I hit Susanville. A lot of shit's gonna happen over there, but again, man, as I talk about these things, and as I remember more things. Even talking to Jerry in some of these lives, it jars things loose, man. Last night we talked about we brought up again Sleepy John Romero, my criminal mentor. I'm telling you guys, I can't emphasize enough how much of an impact he had on me. He was a killer, man. I mean, there's a lot of shit that we did that I'm gonna be talking about. It's just as time goes on and I get more deeper into this, I might have to backtrack and be like, one time this is what happened when me and Sleeps hit this pad, or when we did this. I'm getting old, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of time has elapsed since this stuff has happened. However, I still have a clear memory of a lot of it. As yesterday, I remember names, dates, times, places. It's just, like I said before, it's like peeling back an onion, layers and layers and layers. Some things just remind me of things that have been buried, man, for years. But we'll get there, man. We'll get there. Again, man, I want to thank all those of you that continue to open up and give me your some of your personal stories as well, man. Like I've been saying, keep them coming. You know what I mean? I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Inner Demons. I hope you guys were able to take something away from this, even if it was something small, man. I know I keep saying that I'm going to try to find some consistency with this. I really am. You know what I mean? Hopefully, what I had to deal with yesterday will suffice, man. So I won't have to keep dealing with that shit no more. But at any rate, man, this was episode 10 of Inner Demons, man. And again, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm out.